been long awaiting the day that I could pilot an E60 BMW M5. Having daily driven an E39 M5 for the last 3 years, to say I've been aching to compare the two is an understatement. Now, this beast is much more powerful, it's more comfortable and more expensive, but is it as good to drive as the old car? Well, we're here to find out just that. Of course, upon its release, critics, enthusiasts, and internet trolls went absolutely wild when everyone found out that BMW was fitting a 5-liter V10 in this car. An engine that's normally reserved for cars like the Lamborghini Gallardo, it's pretty incredible that it was fitted in a sedan. And to have that insane exotic sound and somewhat resemble an F1 car, just amazing. You know, nowadays automakers are being forced to become more mature and face the harsh reality that climate change is happening. Government regulations are becoming more strict, and that means turbos and downsizing displacement. And while I haven't driven the F10 M5, I plan on doing so shortly, I'd argue that this is probably the most insane engine that BMW has ever built and may ever build. Under the hood of the E60 M5 is a 5-liter naturally aspirated V10, which produces 500 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque. And it is a boatload. The interesting thing in comparison to the E39 M5 with its V8, the older car has a lot more low-end torque. So in the 3,000 to 4,000 RPM range, up to about 5,000, where the E39 really shines and really kicks you in the back, this car doesn't. And honestly, the acceleration is a bit underwhelming until you really rev it up. But the fantastic part is it redlines at 8,200 RPMs, which makes the car sound insane. And it's just a really rev-happy engine. But it's something to consider in daily driving is that you don't get the most out of the engine until you're really winding it up, so it does require a significant straight bit of road to really get all of it. This car has the 3rd generation of the SMG transmission, an improvement to the one in the E46 M3, and we did like that transmission. I personally do not feel any differences whatsoever, but it's great. I mean, it downshifts very quickly, it's responsive. At full throttle, the transmission has no problems. It's the half throttle and driving around town where this car suffers as compared to the manual that is the only transmission available in the E39 M5. The SMG has a strange characteristic where if you are shifting at, let's say, half throttle, the best way I can describe the sensation is kind of a wave ebbing and flowing. So let's see, we're in 2nd, you give it gas, flick the shift, the power goes off for a second, and then it comes back on. And it's just this wave motion that's a little bit unsettling, and compared to the new generation of 7-speed double clutch transmissions in some of the more recent cars, it just feels like light years behind. The car is insanely fast in a straight line, but I knew that before I even got behind the wheel, and so did you. The real thing that I wanted to find out was how it drives on twisty roads. You know, when you're just driving the car at normal speeds, it feels a lot more sluggish and a bigger car than the E39, but when you really run this thing through its paces and you push it, I'm shocked at how good it really is. The car is 3 inches longer than the previous generation, is slightly heavier, and it looks much more massive on the road, so that's not a great start to have a fantastic handling machine. But when you give it your all, when you push the power button, how cool is that? You've got a button that switches the car from 400 to 500 horsepower. And you throw DSC off, the car performs very, very well. With 500 horsepower, you're talking 0 to 60 in the mid 4-second range. It is a very, very quick car. What I love about BMWs is the second you get behind the wheel, I instantly feel comfortable. I mean, it's like I've owned this car for a while. I know how it's going to respond and react. And I have only been in the car for a few hours. And that says something about BMW's engineering. But I think the real takeaway here is that BMW, for the 2006 M5, did not lose its touch. It's an incredible car to drive. The exterior of the E60 M5 is certainly striking. You've got the menacing front grille, side vents, quad exhaust, and it stands out a lot more from the pack and from the normal E60s than the E39 M5 did. That car was much more subtle in its takeaway. It wasn't that different from a 540i, and somebody who's not a true BMW enthusiast would not really be able to tell the difference. In my eyes, the E39 M5 is more beautiful. I think it's more beautiful than the F10 M5 as well. But that is not to say that this isn't a great looking car. I love the way it looks. A lot of people were taken aback by the design of the rear end of this car, made by Chris Bangle, and a lot of people called it the Bangle butt, but I think it looks great. A very key component of BMW M cars is the sound that they make. The E39 M5 has a fantastic sounding naturally aspirated V8. And future cars, unfortunately, have the addition of turbos, and they are so well isolated from the road, BMW is being forced to pump fake noise into the cabin. But this car, the E60, is the pinnacle of gorgeous, magnificent sound out of the BMW M division. Impressed with the E60 M5. I didn't really know what to expect. I've read a lot about it, but its size scared me that it wouldn't feel like a true M car, that it wouldn't feel as responsive and communicative as I would like. But I'm pleased to report that this car is fantastic. It handles much, much better than I thought. The SMG3, while it's quirky at some times, is effective and it is fun. This car, it's more comfortable than the E39 M5. I'd argue it looks more executive and expensive than the E39. It's of course more powerful. It's got an insane engine. But the real question, the ultimate question, after reviewing a car and spending the day with it, is would I buy one? And the answer to that question is, I would. But I would not replace my E39 M5 with this car. If I had the money, I could see myself owning one of these in the future alongside that car, but it doesn't quite have that inspiring feedback and just the soul of the E39 M5. Don't get me wrong, this car is fantastic. And for $29,988, that's what this car costs, you get a 500 horsepower V10. That engine is pretty much unmatched by anything other than, let's say, a 2006 Lamborghini Gallardo, and those cars are over $100,000. So you're talking about an amazing power plant for 30 grand. This is an amazing, incredible package. It drives well, but if you're looking for the ultimate in driver involvement, I'm gonna say you gotta go with the E39 M5. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this review. Like always, please browse our channel and subscribe. If you have any cars you'd like to see us review or videos you'd like to see us make, please leave a comment below. If you could like us on Facebook.com and follow us on Instagram, that would be fantastic. I'd like to give a special shout out for California Motors in San Rafael, California for making this review possible. They have an incredible inventory of used cars like this, which once were very expensive, but now are becoming quite affordable. So you should check it out. I guarantee if you test drive this car, you're gonna fall in love with it. What's not to like about a 500 horsepower V10 in a BMW M car? Look forward to seeing you next video.